Okay, so this screencast is formatting cells. What we're going to focus on is on your Home tab. These are the ones that you're going to use for formatting. And remember, formatting just changes the way a cell looks. It doesn't change at all what the contents of that cell are actually about. So the first ones we're going to focus on is the font ones here, which are used to in Microsoft Word. You might want to change things to different font styles and font sizes, bold, italic, underline. But the other two, okay, your colours. Now the first thing to remember is if you're changing colours, make your text a nice deep dark colour and your background, if you're going to put a colour background on, something nice and pale. So let's say my headings, I might want them to be bigger so that they stand out, underline, and I might say I want them purple with a background of, let's say, a really pale blue. Again, pale and dark. And I might want them centered as well. So you can see I'm moving along to this one now. And then I might want one big box around the whole of the titles. So if I go to my borders, if I clicked on that one, all borders, if I go to my print preview, you'll see that I've got a separate box around them all. That's what you want, great, but I don't. So I'm going to say no border to turn it off, or I could have clicked the undo button. And then I'm going to have that one big thick border. And then if I go to my print preview, you can see I've got one big one around it. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, the next one, alignment. If I highlight my data, left, middle, or right align, that just changes the layout of where the information is in the cell. The best way is to always keep it left aligned, just because that's the way we used to read in things. But these here, top, middle and bottom align, if you look now and I change it to middle align, makes no difference. And this is the thing, if you ever change something on formatting and it doesn't look any different, it might be just that your cells are not big enough. Can you see, if I now make those cells larger, you can see that the data is actually aligned in the middle. So if I align them and perhaps put top aligned, they'll do it that way. So I'll come back to where we were. The next one, making it slanted. So let's say I want the heading slanted. Pick which one you like. Does that look professional? It doesn't. You might not think it looks nice, but it's very difficult to read. Sometimes you have headings slanted that way, particularly if they're longer. If you do put them on a tilt, just be aware that if you do put a different colour background on, I'll put a really dark one on so you can see. You might think, oh, how do I get rid of that little white triangle there? Well, you don't, because this is the cell that's going to the right, not the little bit at the top. Okay, the next bit, wrap text. So wrap text is, let's look at the names of the football teams. Let's say our column can't be any wider because otherwise it's not going to fit on the page. What I do is highlight that and then click wrap text, and then can you see it makes the rows wider, or rather taller, and it's squished all the information in between. So wrap text just means that the data has got enough room in it. If you've clicked on wrap text and you can't see any difference, so let's say I click on them now and I say wrap text, the reason it's not worked, so to speak, is just because your columns are wide enough in the information. So to prove that you've used wrap text, make your column narrower, and then if you look and I make the columns, or rather the rows, a little bit taller, it's made enough room. The next one, merge and centre. That's if you want to join more than one cell together. So like, let's say that I've got a heading, I might put my heading on, call footballers, and then highlight all those cells, merge and centre, and to show that it's merged and centre, put a big black line around it and perhaps a different colour background, and then you can prove that it's all in the same cell. And then the last one, the easiest ones that you're going to use is numbers. So you might say, okay, this is money, so change it to currency, and it'll put a pound sign on. And then you might want to right align those so it's easier to read. The main point about formatting is have a mess around and check that one thing's right before you move on to the next.